So, according to History.com, Valentine, the original Valentine, was actually put to death when Valentine went against the Emperor Claudius's orders in about the year 270, 278, somewhere around there. And he was condemned him to be beaten with clubs and to have his head cut off. I don't know about you guys, but nothing gets me hotter than the martyrdom of a saint. Hello Frenzy, my name is Kate Shark and welcome to another story time. So it's Valentine's Day coming up, and if you're anything like me, you are ready to open a vein. Yeah, I hate Valentine's Day. I've never liked it. As a kid, I hated it as a kid. I've had a family member who's died on Valentine's Day. The candy is disgusting. I mean, those nasty Say It hearts, they're just gross and chalky. And if I want that, I'll have some Rolaids. And I can't even reach into a box of chocolates blindly without putting myself at risk for anaphylactic shock. So the whole thing with Valentine's Day is really just a lot of shit for more than anything. As a kid, it always just seemed like more work because you had to go to the grocery store, you had to pick out Valentines, and then you had to do a Valentine for everybody in your class, even the ones that treated you like dirt and made fun of you. And if you were like me in my school, I was always in big classes. I don't know, I always ended up being in classes where they would combine like two classes into one. So instead of having like 20 kids in the class, you might have 40. So it just made a lot more work than it was really necessary. Anyway, I'm so sick of this thing, like making people feel like shit for being alone. The people say Halloween's just a way it was made by candy companies to make money. Honestly, I think Valentine's Day is the one that is just used to sell candy and cards, flowers and diamonds, and make people just feel like shit for being alone. You know what? If you're alone, good for you. You know, I mean, I'm not personally, but and I'm happily married. I hate Valentine's Day. I think it's just stupid. I think you should do something nice for the person you love just because, just because it's Tuesday. Hey, honey, I got you some beer. I noticed you were low. I mean, little things like that. That's all they need to do. And you know what? Go see a movie by yourself. It's actually kind of nice going by yourself because then you don't have the worry of what you got to do in the movie theater. Even if you like Valentine's, or maybe you're having a shitty one because you're alone, once again, don't feel bad. Who gives a fuck, right? But I've got a story for you, so no matter how bad your Valentine's Day seems to be going, just know it can always be worse. So enjoy. When I was 14, my high school had actually started, I don't know if they did this before, but my high school had done a fundraiser for something where basically for Valentine's Day you could buy a flower for your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friends, whatever. So that way you could give it to whoever you wanted to on Valentine's Day. Well, again, I hate Valentine's Day. Even at 14, I hated it. I wasn't seeing anybody. As far as I knew, no one liked me. I didn't like anybody. I was having a bit of if you've seen my coming out video, you'll know that my track record with the boys wasn't exactly perfect, and I wasn't entirely sure I liked girls yet. I was a bit blind by that. But anyway, so I didn't expect any flowers, and even if I was seeing someone, I wouldn't have expected them. And I didn't buy any for anyone, so Valentine's Day rolls around. We go to homeroom. The homeroom teacher starts handing the flowers out, and I was really surprised. At first, she comes my way, and I'm sitting with a group of girls in homeroom, so I figured she was coming to give them some flowers, and she hands one to me, which was a complete shock because, as far as I knew, I didn't have someone who was crushing on me, and wasn't seeing anyone, like I said, so obviously was not expecting anything, and it came with a little note. Okay. But, so this note came from this guy, who, I was a freshman, he was a junior, his name was Danny. And Danny and I weren't really friends, and it's not that I didn't like him or anything like that. We just didn't hang out with the same group of people. I was a huge band nerd in school, and chances are if you weren't in band, there's a good chance you and I didn't talk. And it wasn't because I didn't like you, it's just that took up so much of my time. So Danny and I never really spoke. I only knew him, like seeing him in passing in the halls. I had a friend who was in like another club with him, so he knew him from there, and I knew who he was. I knew of him, but I never spoke to him, and he had never spoken to me. So I was a bit surprised that I had gotten this flower from Danny. And all the girls around me, all of a sudden, were like, oh, Kate, Danny's been talking about you all the time. Kate, he asks about you all the time. He thinks you're so cute. You should totally talk to him. Which I thought was really weird because I never spoken to him. As far as I know, he had no idea who the hell I was. And I thought it just something sat wrong with me with it. Just because he was, like I said, we didn't know each other. We didn't really hang with the same people too much. I mean, I had one friend who he knew, but that was about it. And I don't know, it just sat weird with me. So I thought, okay, you know what? If he wants to get to know me so bad and he's talking to these girls who kind of know me, then maybe he'll make an effort, you know? I mean, so I had the flower with me. I walked around school. I walked past him a couple times even with the flower because I guess I didn't even think to put it in my locker, but I had it with me, and he never approached me. I never really approached him. I didn't feel quite comfortable because I didn't know him. And I felt like maybe if he had come and said, hi, you know, I just wanted to send you that. I noticed you. I think you're an attractive girl, which would have been a terrible lie. Because at 14, I looked a little something like this. Yeah, my wife says I look like Atreyu from the Neverending Story. I don't see it. He never approached me. He never approached me. He never talked to me, you know, or anything about it. And I even had spoken to the friend of mine who was in the club with him, and this friend was a very good friend of mine. We had been friends since like 2nd grade. So when I talked to him about it, he said, and I mentioned what had happened, he even said, yeah, you know, I don't think you two would get on really well. You're very different people. He said, and I'm not going to get into this, but there was a major rumor going around at the school, which I'm not going to even talk about, but I heard the rumor about it, but I figured it was just people being shitheads. I had also heard several people just say he was kind of an odd duck as it was, and my friend had said, you know, I don't think you guys would get along very well. You're very different people, and I really respected his input, so I said, okay, you know, fair enough. Something's off about it anyway, so nothing ever came of it. Valentine's Day comes and goes, the flower goes off, whatever. I think I had it for a bit, and it died, and like they do. So a year goes by, and almost a year to the day, I think it was maybe a little bit later, maybe towards March, but about a year later, where I lived in a small town, North Carolina. So basically, if something major happened, chances are the whole city would talk about it. So the little town we lived in, what happened right near us was this big strip mall. And on one side was a Kmart, and on the other side was the grocery store. And my mom always went to that grocery store because it was just down the road from our house and just the easiest way to go. And also she could go to Kmart if she needed to. Well, one night, which happened to be a school night, my mom went to the grocery store to pick some stuff up for lunches. And it took her a while, like longer than normal. And she comes home and she says the weirdest thing's going on. And I said, oh yeah, what's happened? And she said, well, I was at the grocery store, and down at the Kmart, there's all this police tape up. She said, I heard there was like this horrible, like someone got shot in the parking lot. And she said, I don't know what's happened. She said, but they have like this car covered up with a sheet. The cops are out there. There's tape everywhere. It's insane. And I thought, wow, that's really weird. Well, later on, my mom had heard that later on in the night, she had heard it was like a drug deal had gone wrong and someone had gotten shot. Or it's like some people had gotten shot. There was like 3 people. And I apologize that I don't know these people's names or anything, and I wouldn't say their names even if I knew them. out of respect for their families. Anyway, so I was like, oh, that's crazy, you know? So I thought, well, you know, if they're talking about it at school tomorrow, I'd be like, hey, my mom saw the cops out there doing, you know, their thing. And what counts as excitement in small town, Mayberry, whatever. Anywho, so the next morning, I had gotten up and was getting ready for school, and my mom had actually mentioned that there had been 3 people that had been shot, and one had actually succumbed to their injuries and died, which I thought, and like I said, we had heard more about it, a drug deal gone wrong, and all that. It was just crazy. So, and my biggest thought in the whole thing was, what a weird place to have a drug deal in the Kmart parking lot. You know, there's plenty of, like, warehouses and stuff in the area they could have gone and done that behind, or empty fields they probably could have done it in, but the Kmart parking lot, what a weird spot for a drug deal. Even today, I still think that's weird. So I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I went to school, and everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about the shooting, and did you hear? Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I go to my locker and I'm put my stuff in it. Some friends of mine, these are actual friends from band, that I was close with, had come up to me and they said, Kate, did you hear what happened? And I said, yeah, that shooting over at the Kmart. That was crazy. I said, you know, my mom was at the grocery store and she actually saw the cops like taping off, and she said she saw the sheet over the car. It's something else. And they said, yeah, but did you hear what else? And I said, well, yeah, I heard that one of the people died. I mean, isn't that crazy? Who has a drug deal in Kmart parking lot? And they said, you don't know. And I said, no, what? And they said, you don't know who shot them? And I didn't know well, that's a lie. There were people at school who were who dealt with drugs and stuff, and I knew who they were, but I didn't really associate with them too much. And I said, no, why? And they said, Danny was the one who shot those people. And I immediately thought, holy hell, you know, this is a guy he was a senior at the time, getting ready to graduate. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy who was just in the hall the other day is now probably in prison for this. That's crazy. And my friends are all like smiling real big and like trying to contain their laughter. And I said, what is it? And they said, didn't he send you a Valentine last year? And I said, oh, the flower. I said, I said, yeah, he did, but nothing ever came of it. You know, he never talked to me about it or anything. And they said, okay, you know, if only you had talked to him, he wouldn't have had to turn to a life of drugs and crime. And for the next remaining years of high school, I got to deal with the oncoming jokes of Danny sending me flowers, and it was my fault he was in prison. So another reason to hate Valentine's Day. Just remember, no matter how bad your Valentine's Day is going, chances are you never got flowers from a killer. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have your own crazy Valentine's Day story, leave it in the comments below. Let's make someone's day feel a little bit better. I mean, I'm sure there's far worse ones out there than what I've ever experienced. If you like this video, do please give it a thumbs up. Leave me other suggestions of stories you'd like to see. Share this video with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. I will see you all in the next one.